Welcome to OLC 4.0. It is term 1A, and this is class 18. Today we're going to be working on A26, and we might get to A27, depends on how things go. We're also going to be looking at using antonyms. It is Thursday, October 3rd, and I am Jillian Percy. If you are sending in assignments, please send them to studentwork@nnec.on.ca. That way the secretary can log that you submitted work, and other people can access it if they need it. Your full name, the course name, the assignment number, and the name on every assignment. Oh, please label it if it's a rough or a good draft of a writing assignment. I cannot, for some reason, if you're on the radio, you don't see this, but if you're in my recording, for some reason, my computer decided to log me out. So here I am just kind of quietly logging back in again. I'm sorry. This is very boring to watch. There we go. Okay. If you want to call and talk to me in the studio about assignment 26, call me up 1-800-465-7144. If you want to call and talk to me privately later on, 1-800-667-3703, and my extension is 2211. So here is my YouTube channel, capital G, capital P, ERCY, space, capital W, AHSA. And if you go to the playlists tab and click on that, then what will come up is this list of different playlists. This is the current playlist, the one that says 2024, 2025, OLC 4.0, term 1A. That has all the most current videos. If you are looking for something farther along in the course than A27, then you would go to term 2B or term 2A and find your assignments there. It is also being slowly loaded onto a kind of a mega site of WASA Distance Education Center. And the idea is that then eventually whatever courses you're taking with us, you can easily find them all on the same site. Okay, learning goals. By the end of today's class and assignments, I will be able to use appropriate strategies to expand my vocabulary through reading and writing. I will be able to explain the purpose and uses of opinion pieces of writing. I will use my knowledge of the organizational structure of opinion pieces to identify opinions, main ideas and arguments, and supporting details. I will construct a series of paragraphs clearly stating an opinion in the opening paragraph and supporting the opinion in subsequent paragraphs with clear, sufficient, and convincing reasons. I will use appropriate strategies to organize my ideas and information for writing, and I will create a first draft that includes the main and supporting details in the required format. I haven't got it here, but you would also be able to use revision and editing strategies. Okay, so we're going to move to vocabulary first of all. Yesterday we talked about synonyms, which are words that are similar but not exactly alike. Today we're going to talk about antonyms. Antonyms are words that are the opposite, right? So the opposite of hot is usually cold, and so we would say hot and cold are antonyms, right? They're opposed to each other. Sometimes when we're writing, we aren't looking for words that are similar to the one we're thinking of, but we're actually trying to find a word that's the opposite of what we're thinking of. So if I was trying to think of like, what are some antonyms of hot? I might come up with icy, freezing, chilly, cool, glacial, but those are the words I came up with on my own. So then if I go to an online thesaurus, I found so many more. Now, I think we did this yesterday. I'm going to kind of quickly show you. You would just type in online thesaurus and a bunch would come up. This is kind of the generic one. I don't generally like using that. I don't trust it 100%. I would more likely use the Merriam-Webster or Cambridge or Collins. Those are all pretty reliable. I'm going to go to the Merriam-Webster right now and put in, let me think here. Oh, it's the dictionary. No? Hang on a sec, we'll try this. Antonyms of hot. Let me see if it'll come up. Oh, it's trying to look for a synonym of antonym, which is kind of funny. Okay. So here we've got synonyms. Why is it not giving me the antonyms? Hang on a second. There we go. There's my antonyms. So if you look up here, it gave me a definition, then it gave me synonyms, and then I had to kind of go down a little bit before it gave me antonyms. And then I actually have to kind of open it up. The other thing you got to notice is they do this for each definition. So for hot, the idea of boiling, they give me all the synonyms that match that meaning. burning, searing, molten, heated, and then they would give me the antonyms that match that meaning. Cold, frigid, cool, Arctic, icy, frozen, bitter. But then if I go on to a new one, a new meaning, so here we're talking about hot like it's modern. Oh, wait, heck, what happened there? Okay. So then it gives me some more synonyms to match modern, like stylish, fashionable, contemporary. And then it would give me the antonyms that go with that: old-fashioned, out of date, archaic, old time, that kind of thing. So you can use this just kind of it's going to give you the synonyms first because people use it more often for, I think, basically. Okay. So this one I actually did use the generic one. And here it gave me all the synonyms. Now, just like yesterday where we saw like the darker little symbol meant it was more close of a definition. Same thing here. The red means it's pretty close as a synonym, and then the orange would mean it's not quite as close. So it is kind of important when you're thinking about this is which definition of hot or whatever word you're looking up is the one you're wanting to, right? Hot like high in temperature, hot like it's spicy, hot like it's passionate, hot like it's new or in vogue. So they'd have it more like in tabs across rather than down like the Merriam-Webster, which just kind of depends what you're comfortable with, right? So here are when you're talking about temperature, Arctic, cold, same thing kind of thing, right? They might have some slightly different ones. But if I was looking at spicy food and I'm looking for the antonyms to that, there might be things like bland, dull, tasteless. Now, here's the funny thing. It'll have words like old-fashioned. Old-fashioned is clearly not an antonym for spicy food. It doesn't make any sense. So just like we were talking yesterday about how you have to kind of use your wits and think about, hey, is this really going to mean what I want it to mean? It's just a dictionary. It's not doing the thinking for you. It's just giving some words that could be thought of as antonyms. You have to kind of use your own judgment as to whether it actually will work for the assignment you're using for. Why does this even matter? Well, one way to improve your writing from a rough copy to a good copy is to improve your vocabulary or your word choice. On my own, I only actually thought about 4 or 5 words, and you could see there was huge lists of words. Using that thesaurus gave me a lot more options. And most of those words I was familiar with, right? And we talked about that a little bit too. If a word is completely unfamiliar with you and you've never seen it, that might not be the one you want to choose. You might want to use one you're more familiar with but just didn't think of, okay? Especially if you're sitting down and doing a lot of writing or revising at once, it can be really easy for your mind to go blank or go dry. And using the thesaurus can be kind of a great way to kickstart your memory and provide you with a whole bunch of options. Looking for synonyms or antonyms for some of the words that you use in a paragraph or essay can be a really easy way to give your writing that boost that it needs to sound more interesting. So professional writers use them all the time. Why not you? Okay, so then that's kind of where we stopped, I think. Talking about 26. So here we're talking about how to organize ideas and information for writing. So we're working on writing stage number 1, which is choosing a topic. There was 2 topics you could choose. One was about should men be required by law to support their children, and the other one was should juvenile, I think it's juvenile delinquents, be forced to write a letter of apology and do community service if they come back. So if you're not sure which one to pick, here's what I would do. I would set up a quick chart for myself, or 2 pages. On one page, I would write the one topic. On the other page, I would write the other topic. Then I would set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes, and I would just start writing down as many ideas or arguments as I have to support or disagree with the one topic. Then I would set the timer again and do it for the other topic. Which ideas came more easily? Which one did you feel like you had more ideas and examples for? Was there one that you felt more passionately about? Sometimes there's a topic that's really near and dear to your heart, and that means you end up having a lot to say. And it also makes it kind of more enjoyable to write about if it's a topic that's really important to you. So this is just a little bit of quick, kind of a pre-writing thing where it might help you pick a topic if you're not sure which one you want to choose. Okay? Then once you've chosen your topic, you kind of want to look at brainstorming your ideas for an essay. So here I'm just kind of grabbing a page and writing down some ideas. And then in the next slide, I'm going to show you kind of a more organized way to do it. But I'm doing this first in case this works for you better. So the topic, I'm going to use a different one just so I don't kind of like give you, all the arguments. I'm going to use why I am against capital punishment. So my big ideas are, well, the police and the courts can make honest mistakes. Dishonest police, lawyers, and judges could use it to deliberately punish people they had a vendetta against. Politicians might even try and use it to silence those who disagree with them. And sometimes real evidence that could clear someone's name is not allowed for procedural reasons, and that might have a negative effect on people who found themselves applying the death penalty, but the person's actually innocent. And then the negative effects it has on those who have to carry out the sentence. I'm not necessarily going to use all those ideas. Those are just the ideas I thought of in my 5 minutes, okay? Now I'm going to take a look at that, figure out which are the good ones that I really want to use, and then think of some details to flesh out each paragraph, okay? This is a graphic organizer. You've got one, or you should have one in your unit. If it's missing, because I did kind of revise it recently, just send me a little email. I'll be happy to send you along the file. And all it is here you put the topic, tell me whether you agree or disagree. And then first of all, give me your big reasons. Reason 1, reason 2, and reason 3. Don't worry about the details yet, okay? We're just gonna look at the reasons. So here, for example, is what I ended up with. My main topic is the death penalty should be one possible consequences for serious crimes such as murder. And I actually wrote disagree. I don't know why I got agree here. Okay. Number 1, police and the courts can make honest mistakes. My number 2 reason is dishonest police, lawyers, judges, and authorities could use it to deliberately punish innocent people that they have a vendetta against. And then number 3, the effects that killing could have on those who have to carry out the sentence. So that's what I did first, and that didn't take me very long, right? That might just take you 10 or 15 minutes. Now I'm going to go back and start to think about details and examples. That might take you a little bit longer, right? Just kind of depends how easily those kind of things come to your mind, okay? So here's my big idea, and here are some of the details I added. So number 1, sometimes circumstantial evidence is the main source of a conviction, and that could be mistaken or misinterpreted, right? Number 2, sometimes lawyers are too busy to defend clients properly, especially poor ones. So someone who's rich might get off, but someone who's poor might not, even though the evidence might be the same. And physical evidence can be deliberately planted or mistakenly misinterpreted, right? So that you see that all the time in crime shows, and I got to assume that it happens in real life as well. So people can make mistakes. Here are some examples of the types of mistakes that can happen, and that would give me something more to write on for my paragraph. Okay, one specific suggestion on this particular topic. One of the topics is young people who return from juvenile detention should have to complete community service hours and write a letter of apology. Some people use this line over and over and over again, the entire thing in your paragraph. It actually makes it really hard to read, and it's a bit unusual because they're very different things, right? Writing a letter of apology can accomplish one thing. Doing community service hours is a different thing. I would say it might be more helpful to tackle the ideas separately. Like, what are some reasons why writing an apology might be good? What are some reasons why doing community service hours might be good? It's something to think about. They don't have to be treated as one thing. They can be treated as 2 separate things if you want to, okay? Sometimes it makes more sense to do that. The other thing is, this one is, men should be forced by law to financially support any children they have. I always think this is kind of an unusual one because kind of that's already really part of the law, but it's here. You can tackle this topic in different ways. One way would be to split the different part of the sentence into smaller parts or smaller sections and tackle each section. Like, should it be only men forced by law to financially support the children? What about women? Should it be a legal matter, right? When it says forced by the law, should it not be forced? And then what do they mean by financially support any children? What does that look like? and think about why would children need financial support, right? That could be a big topic as well. Now, here is, I think, the hard part. A lot of times people have like the main argument, but they aren't sure how to write some more sentences to make an entire paragraph, right? It may be the first time you've had to kind of write a longer essay that way. So here are some possible ways that you can add some more details to what you're writing, okay? You can explain what you meant in more detail. So here's an example. One reason I believe that welfare should be increased is that the cost of living has gone up. And then I go on to explain. The cost of living usually refers to the amount of money needed to cover basic living expenses such as housing, food, taxes, and healthcare. Or I could state some useful information from a reliable resource that relates to what I'm talking about. The Financial Post newspaper states that housing is going to be the focus of the next budget in order to calm Canadians' anger over various housing issues, such as even finding a place to rent. Now, I would want to make sure that I tied that back into my main idea. I'm going to assume this is my main idea. So if ordinary citizens with jobs are having trouble finding housing, how much more difficult might it be for those on welfare? Okay. So I did the quote, but then I tied it back in to make it clear why I'm using that quote, right? You don't want to just put the quote there and just assume that they see the same connection you do. They may not see the same connection. And even if they do, they may still, if they're a teacher, may make sure that you know how to explain the connection. So I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller so we can see it. There we go. Okay. Oh, what's it doing? It's bouncing all over the place here. I apologize. You might want to give an example that illustrates your reason. So for example, even when buying groceries, the price of chicken and other meats has gone up by at least 50%. So that's talking about the cost of welfare, or so the cost of living increase. And here I'm giving a specific example of like how meat's gone up considerably in the last little while. I could also answer arguments people might have against your idea. Sometimes when people are writing an essay, you already know what the other side might say about your idea. And one smart thing to do is to tackle that argument right away so that the person who's reading it isn't thinking, yeah, but what about blah, blah, blah. You tackle it. Yeah, I know people always think, what about this? But here's my idea on that. And so you've kind of like nipped their argument in the bud before they can get any further. So here's an example of what that might look like. I know that some people might say that if the money given on welfare is too high, that people will have no reason to try and find work. But I think that welfare should be enough money for people to afford groceries. I could have said it a different way. I could say, but I know plenty of people who are trying to find work, but haven't been able to. In the meantime, they still need welfare. So there isn't only one right way to do these kind of arguments. There are so many different options, okay? The other thing you can do is try and connect your reader to the argument you're making in a personal way. Like, can you imagine how it feels to have so little money you can't afford to eat if you want to pay the electric bill? The other idea is that you can help the reader to see how it might benefit them if they agree with your argument. Now, some people don't want to do this, but it goes back to the top idea of where people sometimes will only support something if they think it works for them, right? That's not everybody, but that is some people. So sometimes if you're trying to win like an important argument like this, you might want to make it clear, hey, here's how this can affect you. Here's how this can benefit you. We all lose out when our neighbors must send hungry, restless children to school, can't buy groceries at the local store, or spread sickness for lack of medicine. Okay, so those are some possible examples. All right. Then, writing stage number 2, I can create a first draft that includes the main and supporting details in the required format. So I think we looked at this before, right? Here's the overall structure for a typical, they're calling it a series of paragraphs. I kind of hate the phrase, to be honest. This is what you would normally call a 5-paragraph essay, okay? And the 5 paragraphs are pretty much always this. There's an introductory paragraph, there's 3 body paragraphs, and each one of them will have a reason or a main idea with a bunch of examples and details. And each one is their own topic, right? And then you wrap it all up with a concluding paragraph. These middle paragraphs, they make up the majority of the writing, and they are usually called a body paragraph, and they have their own specific structure. Let me see, do I have it here? Uh-oh. That's weird. Okay, yeah, no, I do have it. Okay, sorry. I think I changed how it looks. So over here, you might have the opening sentence that states your reason. Then you would have maybe 3 to 5 body sentences that give you details and examples that help illustrate or explain the reason further. And then you might have a closing sentence that restates the reason in a new way. It's going to have this same structure regardless of what your topic is, okay? So that's the structure that I'm looking for when I'm marking your essays. And here's an example. Here's my opening sentence. You can see right here, I'm going to read it in a second. All this stuff in the middle is my body sentences, and down here, the darker bit is my closing sentence. Now, you don't have to put things in bold at all. I'm just doing this to make it easier for you to see. That's all it is, okay? So my opening sentence says, one reason why I support a longer school day is to allow for more time for kids to have dedicated time for the arts every day. Currently, most schools only have a small amount of time each week for the arts. Students might get one period on Friday for art or dance or music, but students deserve time every day to experience the joy, relaxation, and creativity these subjects bring. Many parents don't have the money for expensive music lessons or art supplies, but a school can provide these experiences to students in a cost-effective manner. When most students get done school right now, they go home to mindlessly watch TV and play video games. And now here's my closing sentence. With a longer school day, students could instead be developing their creative talents and freedom of expression in meaningful ways. Now, this doesn't sound exactly like my top sentence, but it's pretty similar. I mentioned the longer school day. I explain up top that they want to have more time for art. On the bottom, I kind of say, because it's going to help them develop their creative talents and expression, which is artistic expression, I guess, is another way to say that. So it's pretty similar. Okay, so this is what you've got to do at this point. You've got to take back a look at your brainstorming, right? Make sure you've done the brainstorming, okay? I promise you, this assignment is so much easier if you have done the brainstorming. If you skip this step, it is so much harder to just write out of your head perfect, wonderful arguments, okay? I promise this is an easier way to do it. So for the argument, police and the courts can make honest mistakes. These are the 3 things I talked about earlier. This first reason, that's going to become what I use more or less for my opening sentence. I'm going to make it sound more interesting, but that's my main idea for my first sentence. And so how I talked about it was the death penalty is too severe a consequence when you face the reality that the police and the court system make honest mistakes all the time. Now, I didn't just say the police and the court system make honest mistakes because I have to connect it back to why I disagree with the death penalty. So I explained how it connects. The death penalty is pretty severe when you know that they make lots of mistakes. I have to connect the two, okay? Now, inside your paragraph, you're going to want to be using transition phrases and introductory phrases. Some examples are things like, one example is, another example is. Some people say, for an example, as an example, some examples are. In addition, additionally, as well. Another point is, on the other hand, alternatively, right? Those are all different ways that you can help connect your sentences. So here I've done this part. Now I'm just looking at turning these examples into 3 to 5 good sentences. Okay, so the first one, circumstantial evidence has sometimes been used to convict a man of murder. However, it is not considered the most accurate way of determining if someone is guilty. It would be terrible for someone to be put in jail on incorrect evidence, but even more horrible if that person were killed based on incorrect evidence. So I'm explaining why it's especially horrible in the cases of the death penalty. As well, even when there is specific physical evidence that can be used, it can be misinterpreted or even have been planted as part of a frame-up. In addition, our system assumes that each accused person has an eager lawyer defending them vigorously, but in reality, many lawyers are too busy to work hard for every client, especially their poorer ones. Realistically, sometimes lawyers work harder for the people that pay them more than the people that pay them less. I wish that wasn't true, but in the real world, we have to acknowledge that's a thing. Okay? So if you see these little darker sections as well, in addition, that's an example of me using those transition phrases to tie in the new sentence. Sometimes people are doing like and then, but that just creates a run-on sentence. Whereas using these transition phrases does it in a more professional sounding manner that doesn't make the sentence too long. Okay? So then moving on. So here is what it looks like kind of all run together. There's my opening, there's the body sentences, and then I need to create a closing sentence. This is the biggest thing people forget, okay? But when you do it, it really makes your writing sound so structured and so professional. And remember that you want to echo or restate your opening sentence in some way. So my opening sentence was, the death penalty is too severe a consequence when you face the reality that police and the court system make honest mistakes all the time. So I want something similar to that idea. These concerns about accidental and deliberate mistakes or negligence from cops, lawyers, or judges make the death penalty seem too big a punishment if it is imposed on innocent people. So I've got the idea about mistakes. I've tied in the concept of death penalty as a punishment, and I've kind of restated my main arguments here, okay? So that's how a strong body paragraph should look and sound. Okay, so moving on, you do that for all 3 of your arguments. But here we're moving on to the introductory paragraph format. This is a bit tricky. A lot of people did not ever do these before, right? We certainly haven't talked about it so far in our course. And it has a similar format to the body paragraph, but it's a little bit different. So you start off, you always state your opinion on the topic right away. The reader shouldn't have to guess or wonder. It should be right out there, very obvious. Then the next sentence gives me the first argument or reason for that opinion. Then you give me your second reason for your opinion in a new sentence. And then you use another sentence to tell me your third reason for your opinion. And then your concluding sentence restates this main topic in an interesting way. Okay, that's the main structure. Those 5 sentences should appear in any introductory paragraph. Okay, so here I've got the same thing, and now I'm showing you how that looks. I color coded it. So the first sentence is both black, next is both red, next is both green, next is both blue, and my concluding sentence is purple. Okay, so my opening says, I believe that a longer school day has many benefits for students and parents. First, it can be arranged to make sure that students get some time every day in the arts, such as music, dance, drama, or visual arts. So that's the first opinion or argument that we just actually talked about and made into a big paragraph. My second argument. Second, we could ensure that students got at least 45 minutes of physical exercise every day. Now my third argument. Third, time for clubs of all sorts could be incorporated into the last class of every day so that all students get a chance to participate in self-chosen activities that cross grade and age barriers during school time without needing to worry about transportation home. And then I wrap it up with my concluding sentence, which says, all these reasons can contribute to a longer school day for students that is actually more relaxing, more fun, and more beneficial than the current system. Okay. Here is another example. It's the same kind of idea. I've got my three main reasons. I'm going to turn them into three main sentences. Here, my opening sentence says, I don't believe that capital punishment is a good punishment for crime, even if it initially seems like a fair response. I got to be honest, I would immediately change so I don't have two words of punishment in the same sentence, but I left it here as a rough example. For one thing, the police and the court system can make honest mistakes and accidentally condemn those who might really be innocent. Another concern is that corrupt authorities can use the threat of capital punishment to control and harm others. Capital punishment is just another phrase for the death penalty, right? Finally, I believe it has a negative effect on the executioner and all of those involved whose job has become to kill someone in cold blood. And then I wrap it up with, these are my concerns that would lead me to vote against capital punishment as a response to crime. Okay, so same structure. Then we are going to look at a concluding paragraph, very similar to the introductory paragraph. This is also new. We haven't done one of these before either. So once again, your first sentence is going to restate your opinion, hopefully in a brand new way. Then your next sentence will restate your first argument or reason. Then your second reason for your opinion, that'll be a whole new sentence. And then you'll state your third reason for your opinion, whole new sentence. And again, you're going to phrase it a little bit different each time. You want your keywords in there, but it shouldn't sound exactly the same. And then you wrap up your concluding sentence by restating your opinion in a very conclusive or like a final kind of manner that summarizes your feelings and beliefs and makes it very clear, hey, here's the end of my essay, right? Good. So one way to do that is take a look at your introductory paragraph and see how I've got it side by side. This is exactly what I would do if I was at home. I would have this yellow section. That would be my first page. I would have it there. And then I would take a completely separate page and do my conclusion on there. I wouldn't have this on another page that I couldn't see. I would literally want to be going back and forth to make sure I capture each point. Okay. So in conclusion, remember, I'm trying to make it clear to the person that I'm beginning to wind down my argument. A longer school day could benefit students in many ways. Next, that extra time could be spent giving students more time and opportunities to explore the arts daily. Very similar to my introduction. It could also be used to make sure students get enough time for physical exercise, which could include outdoor activities as well. Okay, that's my second argument. Third, recreational activities such as clubs, which are typically only enjoyed after school by a few students, could now be available for everyone. And then I would wrap it all up. A longer school day could help make more well-rounded students who are more physically active, more creative, and more social than the current school day, which is so narrowly focused on academics. Okay. And literally, I went sentence by sentence. I matched them up. Now, you don't have to be quite that matchy, but it's a nice, easy way to do it and make sure you've covered everything. Now, I used the word benefit, and I feel like I used the word a lot in that one paragraph and also here. So if I wanted to, here's a spot where I could use my thesaurus and try and find what are some synonyms I could use instead. I've got opportunities, aids, blessings, advantages, bonuses. Now, I want to point out, I couldn't just say, in conclusion, a longer school day can advantages student in many ways. That doesn't actually make sense. Advantages are a thing, benefit is a verb. I could say a longer school day can give advantages, right? Give advantages to students in many ways. So this is where I was talking about you have to be a little bit cautious with synonyms because they're not always 100% one-to-one, okay? But if I felt like I'd used the word benefit way too much, that's one thing I could do to try and make sure my sentences and my whole paragraph really sounded a lot more interesting, right? Okay. When you hit that point, you have done writing stages 1 and 2. You've done your planning and you've done your rough draft. Now, a lot of people are trying to hand that in to me without making any changes, but it's really not a good idea, okay? We need practice revising. I give much higher marks when I can see that you've done revising. And most of us don't write beautiful, perfect prose the first moment we put something down on paper. I know I don't. I make all sorts of corrections. You guys see, sometimes I'm correcting things right in front of you, right? So that's what we're going to move on to next. I would leave a day easily between the one stage and the next. At this point, if you finished your rough draft, I would go out, grab a coffee, visit a friend, chat it up, go to sleep, and then the next day, go back and look at it. If you try and do it too close together, you're not going to notice all the mistakes or see it. It's better to have a fresh mind so that you can notice problems and issues. It really is a good idea, okay? So I do know revisions are an area where a lot of people are kind of resistant to it. Sometimes it's just hard to think about ways to improve it. That's why we've done some revision checklists where we practiced making certain kinds of revisions, okay? We did that in assignment 16 and we did that in assignment 24. So at this point, you should have had some practice and can use the revision list to give us some ideas. Now, I just want to point out, I do know sometimes students skip around a little bit and skip assignments. If you haven't done assignment 16 or assignment 24, I would not tackle this assignment yet. I would go back and do those first and get that practice in on an easier assignment before you tackle this great big essay, okay? It's just going to be harder if you haven't done it before. Okay, so take a quick look at this. This is the revision list from assignment 24. I'm not using it as a checklist this time. It's just to give you some ideas. And it actually includes some editing stuff down near the bottom as well. But this is something you could, again, have right in front of you. And as you're going through and revising your paper, you're going down the list and going, hey, could I use this? Could this help? It's just an easy way. After a while, you internalize that list. But at first, when you're not used to it, it's just have it right in front of you. It's the easiest thing to do. Okay. Other thing, I would not go through my entire essay at once. I would go through each paragraph and then take a break. I would look at the revisions and then take a little break, grab a smoke, grab a coffee, talk to a friend. Then I would tackle the next paragraph. Okay, let me show you what I mean. If you try and do it all at once, it'll be kind of overwhelming. Okay, so here is my original rough draft. Okay, I deliberately made it kind of simple with some things we could definitely fix. Here's how it sounds. Another reason I am against capital punishment is the negative effect it can have on those who do the actual killing. We forget that someone has to kill the guy we sentenced. He might feel bad about it. If the guy later turns out to be innocent, he might feel pretty guilty, like he might kill himself even. Plus, some guys might like it and then just start killing anybody. And even it doesn't always work, and that's horrible. So I feel like the overall effect on those who we hire to carry out our sentences of death is very harmful to them as human beings. All right, so I'm going to go in and see, are there some ways that I could make this more interesting? So here's my checklist. I'm actually going to make it a little bit bigger right now just so I can kind of see it a little bit better. And here is what I need to revise, okay? I think my opening sentence is fairly good. I think I'm using what I already did. I'm against it because of the negative effect it has on those who have to do the actual killing, right? So far, there always has to be someone, even if we develop a machine, someone's got to push the button. But it isn't usually a machine, right? There's all sorts of ways, and they usually involve somebody being involved in some sentence, right? So I might say that something like that, right? There always has to be someone who pushes the button or does the injection or flips the switch, right? even if it is his job, even if it is his job, he might feel bad about it, right? So I kind of, what did I do there? I added further details and I revised my words to make my steps more clear. Okay. Kind of traded a little bit too. I substituted. If the guy, and I'm going to say if the man who was killed, right, changes that phrase there, later turns out to be innocent, he might feel pretty guilty. Now, he is confusing because I talked about the man who was killed. So I might say the executioner. Ooh, that's a great word, isn't it? The executioner might feel pretty guilty. I would just say guilty about it. I won't say pretty, I don't know, doesn't sound very appropriate. Might feel guilty about doing his job. Like he might kill himself even. Okay, so in conversation, we use like to mean for example, but we don't usually use that in writing. I don't know, I'm not happy with that sentence. I'm just going to take that sentence right out. I don't think it needs to be there. So I'm just going to take it out. Remember, we talked about that. Removing something is totally valid. Plus, some guys might like it and just start killing anybody. Okay, I kind of know what you're getting there, but it's a little bit vague. So plus, again, is a conversational marker, but in writing, I would probably use them like in addition or additionally or as well. I'll go with as well. As well. So here I talked about the guy feeling guilty. Now I'm talking about the opposite. Oh, you know what? I could say on the other hand. On the other hand is great for when you're talking about the opposite. So on the other hand, some guys, I'm wanting to use another word besides executioner, killer, looking for something neutral. I'm going to go for worker right now. Some workers might like it, might like what's the it? Horribly killing, might like killing. And just start, I don't want to use the word killing again, murdering people on their own, right? I don't know what I was getting at when it said, and it didn't even always work and it's horrible. Oh, I do kind of know what I was thinking about here. That was when I was thinking about how sometimes things go wrong with the pills or with the electric chair or whatever. I don't think I'm going to go there. I don't like that part either. Have I got, yeah, I got 1, 2, 3. I've got enough sentences there to support my ideas. I added steps and examples. I added more details. I used some synonyms. Did I create some compound or complex sentences? I didn't do that. Did I add some adjectives or adverb phrases? Maybe kind of by accident. I didn't really have any misspelled words, and I didn't need to correct the capitalization or punctuation, but I might have had to, right? So that is what I'm talking about. And again, that didn't take me very long. I just did that right in front of you. It maybe took 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. I know it might take longer if you were like at home, but it's still, you don't want to give it too much time. And again, so that one's revised. I'd walk away. I'd take a break. Even just like 10 minutes, walk around the block, come back. Now I'm going to tackle the second paragraph. If you try and do it all at once, it could take you a really long time and it can get really frustrating. Whereas if you just take like 15, 20 minutes to revise each paragraph, okay, well, I get tired. All right, I'll tackle the last 2 paragraphs tomorrow. But you've still gotten a chunk done and you feel good about having done the work, okay? I'm just going to shrink this back down again so I don't forget and so that you can see stuff. Okay. The other really big thing is look at your sentence structure, okay? This is a huge thing because when your sentence structure is off, it can make it hard to understand what you mean. And the 2 main errors that students make is they write incomplete sentences or they write run-on sentences. One thing to think about, sometimes people think of incomplete sentences as like it's too short, but it isn't really about whether it's short or long. It could be either. The important point is that it's missing part of the sentence. So picture it more like a bike that's missing the front wheel or the back wheel, which makes it hard to drive. Same thing, except that now it's hard to read. It's not about how long it is. The subject of your sentence should be at or very near the front of your sentence. And it should tell the reader who or what we are talking about. This is a basic sentence structure thing. That's the subject. If you, when you're reading your stuff back, can't find the subject, there is a really good chance that you've left it off. Okay. So I'm going to give you some examples of the types of sentences that this happens with. These are some sentences that are incomplete. Hang on, I'm going to take a quick look. All right, I think I've got enough time to do this. And I want you to see that the subject is missing. Here are some clues that you might be missing a subject. If your sentence starts with a verb and it's not a question and it's not a command. The other clue is if you see something that's just like a list of things. Sometimes when people are trying to give examples, they just put it as a list all by itself. The other really tricky part is if you have a compound or a complex sentence, that's where two simple sentences have been joined. Sometimes what will happen is somebody will have the subject in one section, but they've forgotten it in the other part. That's actually a really common issue. So here I have running home in the rain after band practice. Okay, who is running home? I could say, I am. That'd be fine. Now, let's say I fix this. Now I have a capital in the middle of nowhere. I would need to fix that and turn it into a lowercase letter because we don't put capitals in the middle of nowhere. Now I've got waiting for my paycheck to come in so I can go to the store and buy groceries. Okay, so we already know it's I, so I need I up here too. I am waiting for my paycheck. Now, some people might have thought, well, I've already got the I here, so I don't need it here. But this is a compound sentence. So the first part needs its own subject, I, and then the second part needs its own subject, right? After I got hurt, healing slowly. Okay, this is a complex sentences. It's got two simple sentences. The first one, I got hurt, there's my subject. But in the second one, I didn't put a subject. I think probably the person thought the first I counted for both, but I need it in both places. After I got hurt, I was healing slowly. Okay. Love doing so many things outside, going fishing, cutting firewood, hunting moose. Okay. This has got kind of two problems. One is they've forgotten a subject and then they've kind of turned into a list without using the punctuation that shows a list. So you might say, we love, like we as a family, we love doing so many things outside. Now, I can't just start a list by putting a bunch of commas. I can do this two ways. I could put a colon, and that would work, or I could put a dash, and that would work. Either way, I've got to kind of signal that I'm giving a list. Same thing for the next one. You need to buy so many things for kids, period. Shoes, backpacks, new jeans, new tops. Okay, this part has no verbs at all. It's really a part of this sentence. So I'm going to link it by using a colon. Okay, there we go. And then I make that big S a little s. Functionally, the dash and the colon can both be used to introduce a list. There's no right or wrong as far as that goes. Okay, we're almost done here. This is the rubric we are going to use. The rough, your first version is worth 20 marks. Your good copy is worth 30 marks. I mark on your knowledge of the opinion paragraph format and your understanding of the topic. I look at your thinking skills, how you select the main details, how you organize the information, how you provide your reasons and examples. I look at your communication. This is kind of your writing style, using the sequences, using nice vocabulary, all this kind of thing. Being aware of your purpose, your audience, your tone, and your style. Application. This is where I'm looking at conventions. This is where I look at grammar, usage, spelling, punctuation. And then here, this last one is specifically, I am looking for revisions. I am looking for that. If you didn't make any revisions, then you're not going to get good marks for here. Okay. So that brings us to the end of 26. I'm sorry we didn't get to 27 today. We will tackle that on Monday. Sorry, I don't have any more classes this week. All right. If you need to talk to me about this assignment, give me a phone call. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Have a nice weekend.